My parents refused to believe I had endometriosis for 7 years, but when my sister got mild period cramps, they immediately bought her a $4,000 heated massage chair. I was 12 when I collapsed in our bathroom with blood soaking through my pajamas while my insides felt like they were being shredded with razor blades. Mom pulled me off the floor and told me to stop being so dramatic because every woman gets periods without making such a production. Every month I missed days of school curled on the nurse's cot while she snuck me ibuprofen from her purse because she recognized what my parents refused to see. By 16 I was driving myself to the emergency room and the doctors kept saying they suspected endometriosis but needed parental consent for surgery. My parents would arrive hours later irritated that I'd ruined their evening and tell the doctors I was a hypochondriac inventing illnesses for attention. Then my sister got her first period and casually mentioned some cramping. My parents drove her to 3 specialists that week who all confirmed she had completely normal menstrual discomfort, requiring nothing beyond Motrin. They still filled prescriptions for heavy painkillers and bought her that ridiculously expensive heated massage chair, plus converted the guest room into her personal recovery suite with a mini fridge stocked with her favorite drinks and a new flat-screen television. They tracked her cycle on the kitchen calendar with star stickers so everyone would know when to tiptoe around her and installed a special doorbell chime for her room so she wouldn't have to yell when she needed something. Dad took time off work during her periods to drive her to school so she wouldn't have to take the bus while uncomfortable. Mom started cooking separate meals for her because certain foods might trigger worse cramps, even though the doctor said diet had no impact on normal menstruation. I was upstairs pressing towels between my legs because the bleeding was so heavy. I'd gone through an entire box of pads in 2 days while trying not to make any noise that might disturb my sister's rest. When I asked to borrow one of her 4 heating pads, Mom accused me of trying to steal medical equipment from my sister, who had an actual diagnosed condition, while I just wanted props for my performance. You've been pulling this stunt for years and frankly we're tired of competing with your sister's real medical needs. I passed out during my shift at the coffee shop and woke up in an ambulance with oxygen strapped to my face and paramedics asking if I was pregnant because my manager said I'd been bleeding through my work uniform. The ER doctor finally gave me my diagnosis of severe endometriosis, with adhesions binding my organs together like twisted rope and lesions spreading into my bowel. The social worker tried calling my parents, but they were at my sister's volleyball game 2 towns over and didn't answer until the 3rd attempt. When they finally arrived 4 hours later, Dad's first words were, "How much is this going to cost?" While Mom asked if I'd staged this for attention, knowing it was my sister's championship game. At that point, I lost it and ranted to the social worker about the 7 years of denied care from my parents, including the time I begged them to let me see a specialist, and they made me do extra chores to take my mind off imaginary pain. She pulled up my records showing 12 emergency room visits where my parents had signed refusal forms for recommended procedures and diagnostic tests. One note from a frustrated doctor stated the parents were risking their daughter's fertility and long-term organ damage by refusing treatment. Child Protective Services got involved within 48 hours and helped me petition for emancipation with a court-appointed advocate who called it the clearest case of medical neglect she'd seen in 20 years of practice. The judge granted emancipation immediately and lectured my parents about how they'd spent more on my sister's unnecessary comfort measures in 3 months than it would have cost to diagnose and treat my legitimate medical condition. My coffee shop manager had been offering me her spare room for months after watching me collapse behind the counter and finding me crying in the storage room during my breaks. I moved in that night with just my backpack while my parents texted me that I was being dramatic and this would all blow over once I stopped seeking attention. Getting Medicaid took 2 months of paperwork, but my advocate helped me navigate every form and appeal. The surgery revealed damage worse than anyone expected with endometrial tissue wrapped around my intestines and growing into my bladder wall, requiring a second emergency surgery 3 days later to prevent organ failure. Recovery took 2 months and I had to learn to walk again after the second surgery, but for the first time since 12 I could stand up straight without feeling like I was being stabbed from the inside. My parents sent one email saying I'd humiliated them with lies about normal period pain and that the whole town was gossiping about how I'd manipulated the system for free healthcare, and my sister texted that I was selfish and had deliberately scheduled my surgery during her college recruitment season to sabotage her volleyball career with a family drama. But it didn't take long for Mom to track me down and beg me to help her because doctors kept dismissing her fibromyalgia pain as anxiety. I asked if she'd tried pushing through it since women in Dad's family handled everything without complaining.